Shall I pick a tarot card for you? Here,
Sure, yeah, that'll
let's
get us
see.
started.
That'll get us started here. None of these are really working for me.
I don't pull cards, but
I,
is, is that the way it works?
absolutely not. Actually, quite the opposite. And I
You
decided,
you're
I
looking
just,
at them face up. Not
no,
that
I'm
one.
not.
Not that.
They're not face up. Okay. Protection. You are protected by a pure and innocent heart. Courageously follow the path of love. Whatever. I'm picking one for you now. Okay. Self mastery. Take time for spiritual practices and inner work. Spiritual discipline is required for your next step.
Discipline, whatever.
These are not working for me today. They are so not. I'm
Put those
sorry.
back in the box.
Back in the box.
Hello, beautiful soul. It's Meka of SpiderMeka Portraits. Ever felt like your voice was stuck? After my third surgery threatened my voice in 2023, I decided silence no longer suited me, and I was done feeling like I couldn't move forward because my idea of success felt so far removed. So I launched Streams of Silk, your personal and professional journey podcast. Join me as we unravel life's threads together. Expect candid discussions, laughter, and learning, all so we can infuse a little more ease into your life. Something smooth, something strong, shimmering, and seductive, just like spider silk. As an internationally recognized portrait and branding photographer, speaker, and storyteller based in Chicago, I empower women to embrace their natural selves and transform toxic narratives. For entrepreneurs and small businesses, I create captivating visuals that demand attention. Explore my work at SpiderMeka.com. Follow the Spider on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest. Subscribe for more.
Did you dress up for this?
I put a shirt on, but that's as much as I did. I do have pants on, but it's just a pair of old blue jeans with a spot on them. So
I think we should take our pants off.
pants off, nice shirt. I could get really sexy and do this and then
I
really
all
look
dream. It's a dream. Let's do it. I almost wore my
naked.
shirt, my sexy shirt. I
Should
let's go
we
change. Let's slip into something more
let's
comfortable.
oh God, let's do this.
Let's do it.
I think the fad diet conversation, although I need to make it very clear about, you know, I have to tread lightly if it's going out there.
Why? This is the space to get down and dirty.
Okay, I'm
This is
rolling up
not
my
your everyday
sleeves.
podcast. That's right. Roll them up. Roll up this. I've never seen so much skin in my life.
Awful.
Tell me what you're being careful about. Tell me exactly the thing that you're afraid to say. Let's get it out there.
I think diets are some of the most damaging things that women take on for themselves because they're restrictive, they're about deprivation, and they aren't about dealing with your story about why you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. If you've always been told what to eat and how to eat, when to eat, there's no place for you to be a choice. So I believe as women, we need to feel like we have a choice here. And if you continue to be on that cycle of the next great diet, the next great thing, nothing really shifts. So my work is really about the story. And it is a little of therapy meets nutrition. Because in a traditional diet, there isn't somebody coaching you on the sidelines. There isn't somebody that you have to be accountable to. And it's very isolating. You're by yourself. And as we know, that can be really hard. And I understand the mentality of going to meetings, the Weight Watchers meetings, but you're also
Mhm.
sitting there and you're hearing about the person next to you who's lost 5 pounds and
Yeah.
you've lost a half a pound and everybody's clapping for her. And
Mhm.
you walk away feeling shame and you start feeling so bad about yourself. Like, what did you do wrong? And honestly, you didn't do anything wrong. Our bodies are all so different. There are no two people alike. And so when you sit in a room filled with 25 people and being compared to that one person who gets up and who's lost all this weight, it's kind of mind-boggling.
Let's pause for a second because you're saying so many things that I am having very, very, very strong reactions to. All right. So the first thing I want to know is why were you afraid to say that? Why did you say in the beginning that this is something you had to tread lightly and be careful about?
I'm not in the practice of slamming people's practices and ways of doing things. Um, I think the reason it's hard to make the decision to come to Nancy Zitlin is because it is an unknown. When I say I'm going to hold space for you and I have hope that you can shift this conversation, that you actually, when you commit to yourself and know that you have choices and that you could live the rest of your life out with this way of eating that can be sustainable for the rest of your life,
Mhm.
it's scary. I believe my clients, I know they trust me and they feel safe, but getting to me is is the hard part. Understanding my way of coaching.
Let's break it down. What's the point that people actually say, all right, it's time for me to talk to Nancy?
They've hit the wall. They have they have done that way of living for way too many times or way too many years, and they keep coming up with the same result. They lose weight, they gain weight. They lose weight, they gain weight. Some people lose up to 80 pounds and have put it all back on. Well, that to me is the missing piece, is that they have not talked about where did this all begin? Did you have trauma in your past? Were you abused? Did you have an eating disorder that
Mm-hmm.
you believed was healed, but yet it keeps showing up little by
Yeah.
little?
Can we talk about the things that keep showing up? I've realized I've been helped to realize certain patterns in my own life, not necessarily with eating specifically as it relates to you, just being a human. The trauma that you're talking about, the things that we experience as young humans, and then we grow to be bigger humans if we're lucky, right? And we do go into these patterns because of a traumatic effect or all the things that you just listed. There was, I learned why I am so ambitious
And why is that?
because as a younger Meka, little spider, before she was the spider, she was told that things like straight A's and doing things perfectly and choosing to do good and not wrong were like the ultimate goals. And that kind of mindset being told over and over and over again that if you do anything less than that, then it's wrong. That gave me a mindset of only wanting to reach the top. And the ambition as an adult comes from me not wanting to disappoint the same people that told me that perfection was the only way to do anything when I was younger.
So perfectly imperfect didn't fit in this conversation.
Oh no. Like we have a mutual friend who says that all the time. And every time she says it, my,
You
my
you curl
spine
up.
ting, I can't, I can't stand that. It does something to me. It's not
Mhm,
something I resonate with at
mm.
all. I hate those words together. However, in my own business, I don't even like using the word perfect anymore. Like I'll say something is perfect in the session, but it's only after it's been very well established that perfection here and now in the space that I've curated means only as it applies to you. Like there is no comparative perfection. And that's something that I've really had to work with. I like being ambitious, but this conversation about patterns that we're having, I'm 44. Why did it take me this far in life to realize that I have a savior complex?
You're lucky that you're 44 and you're figuring it out now. That's how I think. I
or that,
absolutely believe.
yeah, or that there was such a deep rooted reason why I'm very ambitious. I like being ambitious. I like having goals. There are some people that I know who say that they don't even have goals. I don't believe that, but whatever. I guess some people just live day to day. That's fine. That idea scares the bejesus out of me. I can't imagine living life like that.
So can we move into it's just to pivot into that good bad conversation that I have with
Yeah.
my clients, which is so probably difficult for you to imagine because when you're on a diet or you're trying to change habits and you quote unquote fall off the wagon, you're bad. Like
Yeah.
bad and good became very much in the diet culture.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no good and bad. There because we are all a work in progress and no habit changes overnight. And it is a slow and steady process. And so talking to you, this perfectionist, I'm
Um,
thinking
recovering
recovering.
perfectionist.
I like that. Right. That you're giving yourself a lot more grace today than
Mm.
you ever have. Would you say that's true?
Well, I saying that I'm giving myself grace is being very kind. I wake up and I just want to bang my head against the wall. If that's what giving myself grace looks like, okay, we'll take it for now. Let's talk about the good and the bad thing and what works for people and what doesn't. So I've got a group of friends right now. This is a great conversation for them to listen to, by the way. I got a group of friends right now in the neighborhood, and surprise, surprise, we're all trying to lose a couple pounds before the summer, right? All right. All of it for a health reason. We want to be healthy and happy. And the conversation, of course, centers around, well, how do you lose weight? How do you lose weight? What's your plan? So one of the friends, she's got a Pilates membership now. So she's going to Pilates a couple times a week. Another friend, completely different gym membership. She's on the bicycle all day. Another friend, she works a solid 9 to 5. Getting up early doesn't work for her. So after work, when she can, she'll go for a walk by the lake. I actually lost 15 pounds around this time last year. And so they're all like, okay, how did you do that? What's the secret? What's the magic sauce? And so I said, there were 4 things that I did. I did count my steps, essentially. You know, we've got Fitbits and watches and whatnot that do that sort of thing. So to the best of my ability, I would walk 10,000 steps a day. And a lot of times that meant I wasn't going outside to do it, because if it was raining or snowing or whatever, I'm by my kitchen stove while dinner is cooking or between Zoom calls. I'm just doing steps in my house. And so 10,000 steps a day, that was number one. Number two, I stopped eating past 8 o'clock. My bedtime was usually 10. That's a couple hours before bedtime. If I was eating cookies or dinner or whatever, no more chewing beyond 8 p.m. And that was the second thing.
Let's go back to that conversation later. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The third thing was, we actually get full, but we have this thing that we grew up with because all of our parents pointed their fingers at us and said, you are not allowed to leave this seat, this room, go to bed, go play, anything until what? You finish everything on your plate. And so I learned to put that voice away because there's no reason in it. It's a scarcity reason. But what all that it's done for us is make us feel like we have to eat a lot and we have to eat it all. And so I realize neither one of those things are true. And when my body says you're full, stop eating, I learned to wrap up the rest of it, and that leftovers are great for lunch the next day. And then the fourth thing was hydration, water. I drank my minimum supposed requirement of 64 ounces of water a day, sometimes more, sometimes a little less. But as much as I could, I stuck to these goals. And in 6 weeks, I was 15 pounds lighter.
So it doesn't have to be hard.
It doesn't have to be hard. Is that the point you wanted to go back to?
I want to say that you weren't deprived. You were moving your body, but you weren't sweating it out, as in that conversation of, I'm really going to try to do that this week, is never going to happen. Never. So the only way it's going to happen is if we put it in our calendar and we make that a priority. We make taking care of ourselves a priority.
Why is that so hard for us to do?
Why is it so hard? I've talked about this story of growing up and coming home from school one day and seeing my mom laying on the couch. I thought she was dying. I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "I have a cold." I said, "Are you going to be okay?" She said, "Yeah." I never seen my mother lay down. What's wrong with that? 3 children and holding down a household, and she never laid down. I'm sure it wasn't her first cold, but I just, that kind of mentality of making sure everybody else is cared for, when in fact putting on the oxygen mask is so vital, because it really is a trickle down effect. So what I got sometimes was a very cranky mother at dinner time, because she was depleted, she was exhausted, from taking care of everything.
Yeah.
My father worked till 7 o'clock at night and came home and expected a beautiful dinner on the table. And she did
Yeah.
that every single night. And I appreciate that because she wanted us all to be together. But sometimes sitting around that table was not as fun as what she had in mind.
Mm-hmm.
She was edgy,
Yeah.
didn't
She's
have to,
tired.
right, right,
Yeah.
didn't have to look like that. And then I took on that energy at the table.
Mm. Because you're an empath and you imbibed it and you didn't recognize the pattern back then. Look at that.
Exactly. So I bring that question to people a lot, which is, tell me about your dinner table. Tell me what happened at your dinner table growing up.
Yeah.
And I get people looking at me like deer in the headlights. They've not
Like, what
thought
does that
about
have
it
to do with anything? Yeah.
exactly. And they hadn't thought about it in 50 years. But
Yeah.
it really is where it all begins. Our habits begin right then and there. And our parents are role models for us. So if they are not taking care of themselves and they're dishing out that food, and by the way, the food was beautiful, but imagine everybody's feeling a little stressed because my mother brought this stress to the table, and we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to eat this beautiful meal, and we're eating it, and our stomachs are tied up in knots.
Oh, man.
So doesn't that make sense that, fast forward 50 years and you're stressed and you have given so little time to yourself and you're eating, you're gritting your teeth, you're like hating what you're eating because somebody told you that eating, kale 24/7 was the way to go. Screw that, right? Like, no, be a
Yeah.
choice. Find things that work for you and only you.
I agree. It's so hard, but I'm glad that you exist to continue giving us reminders. I do want to ask again, is that the thing that you wanted to put a pin in and go back? Because your face lit up when I said I stopped eating past 8 p.m.
Thank you. That is sort of the bewitching hour when after dinner, had a full dinner, you either go and you turn on the TV and you're sitting there for hours watching TV, or you go back to that computer and you're there sitting. It's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and your body says, oh my God, I'm hungry. Well, what that is exhaustion. And what you
Mm,
need to do is to go to sleep.
mm,
And 8 o'clock is not, if we eat at 6:30, by 8 o'clock, there's no reason if you've eaten throughout your day and had a balanced meal, there's no reason that your body needs anything more. And
mhm,
fasting from right after dinner to the next morning or as late as you want to push it, I'm all for
mhm,
listening to your body and not putting breakfast in at 8 o'clock in the morning. If you're not hungry, don't eat.
mhm,
But if 10:30, 11 o'clock is your first meal, you've now fasted for this whole time and your body and your metabolism really begins to shift. So night eating is one of the worst things because we also just lay down and we go to sleep and that just our bodies are in slow mo now and we are
mhm.
not burning anything. So it's like dessert. I love getting on that conversation of dessert and then I'll stop talking. But dessert, no one's hungry for dessert. When you think about it,
Okay.
Like dessert is dessert, but it's not that we need it at all.
Hmm.
There's something about ending a meal, people are like, wow, I need a dessert to complete the meal.
That roast, that savory taste was so delicious. I need to ruin it with some sugar now.
I need to
Where's the
just
pie?
pound on some loads of sugar, and then we really get all messed up. And that's a whole nother conversation at another time in another podcast on sugar and how our
Okay.
bodies just crave it. Once you give it a little, you can't get enough.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you on one particular point. You said that our bodies don't really burn a whole lot of energy when we sleep. I don't know what kind of sleep you're having, but I have nightmares every night and I'm running and jumping over things and scary monsters. I'm burning a whole lot of energy in my sleep. But you're right. It's probably not very normal. That's another podcast too. I want to go back to something else that you said earlier that you had no idea that this was one of my sticking points lately. I think I'm going to write a whole blog about it. It was easy for us to unload on strangers. However, it's not easy for us to applaud strangers.
Let me stop you for 1 minute. Let's start with applauding ourselves first, which
Mm,
is really the work that I am doing, and is celebrating those little wins just all by yourself. And you get to come on once a week and you get to share with me all those little bitty things that add up to new habits. So I agree with you. I think the camaraderie is wonderful, but I do believe it all begins with you. And so
hmm.
that's where the shame comes in when you're sitting next to somebody who is having a completely different experience, but they have a completely different body too.
Yes, we forget that a lot.
And that is what I deal with is the individual. I want to meet people where they are at. And it isn't always about food, Mika. What was I saying? About being being your own champion.
You're being your own champion. Yes.
And at the end of the day, when I ask to journal one win for the day,
Yes. Yes.
one win, and
Yes.
you've written it down, so you like feel it. You did a good thing. You feel better. When you start to feel better, you want to keep doing it over and over. I don't eat gluten. If I sat down and had 3 pieces of pizza every day for the next week, I would feel awful,
Oh my gosh.
awful. And what I know is when I'm not eating gluten, I feel so much better. My
Yeah.
mind, body, and spirit, because it really fogs my brain. It depletes me. I feel exhausted. I feel bloated. There's no good around that. So why keep doing it? Well, it's unfortunately what we all do. We've all done it. I picked up journaling again. Why did I stop? Why did I stop?
Hmm.
And the moment I picked it up, 10 minutes later, I get a text from somebody offering this amazing connection for me to be working with them. Like, I
Hmm.
believe in the power of our words and dumping all of that crap onto a piece of paper that no one
Yeah.
else is going to see.
That's where we left off in the conversation. I asked you let's list some other things that have nothing to, like you said, it's not always about food. So tell us some other things that it really is about.
So, what if you were just in a career that just felt awful? You know, it's a trickle down effect. At the end of the day, you have given your heart and soul to something that feels awful. And so the only thing that you're looking for is to fill up in some way. So you use food. I'm kind of not giving you the answer. I'm taking a different turn. What I do, what I believe works for people is to support yourself by moving our bodies, breathing fresh air, doing the things that you love to do, but not gritting your teeth through it. You
Mhm.
know, like I have this
Yeah.
Peloton. I don't get on it every day, but I do walk every day because I want my feet on the ground. I want to breathe fresh air. I spend so much time behind this screen, and we
Hmm.
all do. And talk about being depleted at the end of a day. This is
Yeah.
exhausting. So
Oh, yeah.
what are the things that we can do that nurture ourselves, that give us joy, that take so little time? These are not things I hear over and over. I just don't have time. I just don't have time. I just can't possibly carve out time. I have women who put in their calendars to eat lunch because if they don't put it in their calendar, they're not going to do it. Now, what's hard
Just
about
say
that?
my name, Nancy. Just,
I know. I,
I
I
know it's me.
I know. No, it's so many people. Real estate agents are some of my best clients because they are all in tunnel vision in front of their computers all day. Somebody calls and says, I need something from you, and they pop up and they're out of here. And it's like 5 o'clock and they haven't eaten a thing.
Hmm.
But there's no stopping for themselves. This is all about making yourself number one. Honestly, this isn't rocket science. Nothing I tell my clients are things that they haven't heard before. And they've all said, they come to me on my first session and they say, I know all this. I know all this. I'm just not doing it.
Yeah. As soon as you said this isn't rocket science, I feel like it's harder than rocket science. Rocket science is math, it's equations, it's
That's
formulas.
true.
1 + 1 = 2. You put it on a piece of paper, and if it doesn't equate, then you rework it so that it does. And it's easy. And then you can give it to someone else and they can follow it too. But tell us to put ourselves on a piece of paper where this plus this equals this all the time exactly works for the next person. Impossible. We're so much more complicated than rocket science.
You're absolutely right. I'm just not a numbers person, so I thought of the worst possible thing.
You'd rather work with humans than do
I,
math.
oh my God, any day of the week, any
Well,
day of the week.
that means you are what does that say about you if you choose to do the harder thing than rocket science?
Mm. Oh, I got to tell you, we could come up with some swag on that one. Why does it have to be so hard to put yourself at the top of the list when you're a pleaser and you're making sure everybody else is a-okay? What you get is a exhausted, depleted woman crawling into bed, ready to go and do it again the next day. It's just not right
It's a
because
horrible existence.
it's a horrible existence. At the end of the day, what I know is we all want to be able to live our healthiest, happiest self. But there's a
Yeah.
lot of comfort in discomfort in this world that we live in.
Mm.
There's a lot of people who are just okay in their discomfort because it's what they know.
I have to ask this because it's such a hot topic. Typically, all of us are coming up against, as soon as we try to put ourselves first, the rest of the world catches fire. kids get sick, family members need us, the job has responsibilities, obligations, or else literally we don't eat, we got to work. How do we navigate through all the fires, the explosions, the eruptions when we're trying to put ourselves first? That it's easy to say we're not as important as these other things because we need these other things to keep us going too.
I believe in a balance. I've also been a work in progress when it comes to letting go. There have been times where I'm gripping so tight and it's so unhealthy, and I feel it in every cell of my body. So I think it's not that you're ignoring those things. Those are a priority. And sometimes our days aren't coming through the way we want them to come through. So maybe we look at the week and we go, well, we had 4 really good days of making sure I took care of myself. But those other days, I just couldn't do it. That's okay. I believe in an 80-20 way of living.
Say
In
more
all,
about that.
I really, because we started with this conversation about perfection,
Mm-hmm.
and there is no such thing as 100% of anything, of anything. And if I, if I just, people have said to me, oh my God, you're probably so, you never have dessert, or, I'm the one posting that I went to Dairy Queen, on my birthday because that's all I wanted to do. And I had cake the night before. And I want more of a quote unquote normal way of living. I don't want to get through a day and feel like, ugh, I felt deprivation. Because when you feel deprivation, you're going to find it. People who are binge eaters, if they deprive themselves so much, they end up eating twice as much had they
Mm-hmm.
just given themselves a little taste of something. Does that
Mm-hmm.
make sense?
It does. I feel like I'm hearing you saying something similar to maybe a conversation I feel like we've had a while ago where we just kind of discovered that the word balance, because that's another word that I've had trouble with along the years. Because when we hear the word balance, we need a balance in our lives, we need a balance in our day. It makes us feel like we need to do everything perfectly every single day. We need to get up, we need to journal, we need to meditate, we need to have clean hair, condition our faces, moisturize, go for a walk, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, do work, breathe, make love to our spouses, play with the kids, walk the dog, read a book, and then go to sleep, get 8 hours of sleep, and then wake up in the next morning and do it again. And that's what is balance. Looking at it differently, you may have 4 days of things going well, and then in 7 days after that where there are a bunch of fires. But then eventually you go back to, okay, I get a walk in today, if nothing else. And so looking at balance as ebbs and flow, as long as you're not consistently without trying putting out fires, but you're adding in, I get a walk today. At least I drank my water today. At least I called my mother today. At least I had some quality time with people that I love today. Making sure that we're not forgetting about ourselves in the chaos.
Right. And if you can remember the things that fill you up after a stress day or a slam day of call after call after call, to stop and take a breath and think about what is it that you could do to fill up, stepping outside. And not everybody can go do this, but
Yeah.
you
But
as
you
an
can open a
example,
window.
but you can open a window and you can step outside and breathe in fresh air or walk around the block. I don't,
Mhm.
I'm not looking for, a
Or do
marathon.
10,000 steps next to your stove while dinner's in the oven.
Exactly. That you're moving and that you are making sure that you've carved out a little time for yourself. The whole thing about this, Mika, is that we're all individuals. There is no right or wrong way of doing it. The conversation is, though, about making sure that you are a priority. That is the bottom line. And that we all will find that in our own way, in our own schedules.
I really notice that you're big on making sure that we know there is no such thing as right and wrong. I've heard you say a couple times that people get a little frustrated with you because they're just like, tell me the right way to do this. And you're like, the
I'm not going to
there
tell them.
there's literally no answer to that. There is no formula, there is no right way. And trying to get us normals to understand your brilliance and the thing that works for you is very customized. And essentially, of course, that's what you help us find. Am I right in that assessment?
I think so. And it is when I said it's about connecting in, from our heads to our stomachs to know what works for us. The other part of it is being in tune with your feelings that you're having and being
Ooh,
able to have a space to share that. And I
yeah.
hope to be that person for my clients. And I think I am. And I think for those people who haven't yet sat in front of me and I haven't had the privilege of working with them on their journey, I just want to say, like, come be with me. I want to do this different with you. I want you to experience something so different than all the other messages that you have gotten from social media, from television, magazines, movies, movie stars, you name it. We're going to do it different. And as I say, we're going to do it Nancy Zitlin style.
I love that. And I love you, Nancy.
And I love you. Thank you.
Yay.
Are we not recording anymore?
Do you want me to stop now? You
Yeah.
might say something brilliant after I press the stop button.
Then I'm going to come back tomorrow and do it.
If you learned some things or were inspired by this episode, tap that subscribe button now and never miss a thread. I am Meka, internationally recognized portrait and branding photographer, consultant, and speaker based in Chicago. The Streams of Silk podcast is for small business owners and their friends wanting to elevate their life experience. Follow the spider and keep listening for more ways to find connection in the chaos.